In this video, I'm going to show you how to view the ride wait times in the Lyft driver app. First off, in order to access this feature, you need to click the icon in the bottom of your Lyft driver app. Then at the bottom, you can see the wait times. Now, when you click this, it will kind of zoom out and show you your general area, and you'll see first off different colors, typically green, orange, and red. And as you can imagine, green, good, yellow or orange being like, nah, and then red being like bad. This means that if you're in that given area, the wait time of you as a driver waiting to get your next ride can be really, really bad or really, really good. Now, if you zoom in, you'll then see specific wait time amounts. And this can be super useful, like I said, to determine, all right, am I in a bad area? Should I move? Should I stay here? And then, which is even better, if you click on that exact square, they do it by like quadrants or squares. If you click on that exact square, you can see the exact nitty-gritty analytics of the past hour. So for example, I've it listed here that in this given area of West Hollywood, this is on a Wednesday night at 9 p.m. when I screenshotted this on my phone, it said it was a 2 to 6 minute wait based off the last 253 rides. Over the last hour, drivers waited between 2 and 6 minutes for a ride request in this area. What's awesome about this is real-time data. It's not like they're saying, hey, we think it's going to be this long as a general thing. Or they say, you know what, based on the past 5 years. It's like, no, the exact past hour, based off the exact amount of rides we had in that hour, here's the estimated wait time. And this can be very good. Now, 3 things I do want to mention as cool little pro tips on top of this. 1, I suggest combine this with surging. So when you zoom out on the general Lyft driver app, you can see like, oh, in this one area, you can see different dollar amounts and stuff like that of different surges that may be happening. See if you compare these two. Like say if you look at one and you see the other and you're like, oh, there's a low time or low time to get a ride and there's a surge, boom, it's a double win. The second good thing about this is actually starting driving. So I'm not just talking about, like say if you're on the road, you're already kind of bouncing around, maybe this is a good idea to look at it and wait. For example, like say you are in West Hollywood here in California or a different area, doesn't really matter. You pull it up and it's like, oh, it's going to take you between 10 and 15 minutes to get a ride. I know some people do this. They're like, you know what? I kind of want to drive right now. It's going to take about 10 minutes. That means I can start, my driver app, say go, like you're starting driving, leave it out for a little bit. Maybe you prepare your coffee, get ready, and then you wait in about 10-ish minutes. Hopefully you get a ride. Like say it says, hey, it's going to be ready in 2 minutes. In that case, I'd probably be like, all right, I might as well just hit go and maybe start walking to my car. So you can do this before you even start driving, which is kind of useful. You don't have to automatically be online in order to see this data. And this is great because you don't have to do that thing where you're like, all right, and this happened to me before where I hit go, I immediately walk to my car, I sit in it, and I wait like 10 minutes, and I'm just sitting here doing nothing, waiting for a ride. Other times, I'm like, all right, you know what, I'll hit go. Maybe it might take a while to get a ride. I hit go, I go to grab coffee, and I get a ride right away. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm not even in my car. I'm not even out of my house yet, right? So you can do this before you start driving. Now, the third thing I want to talk about as a little pro tip is it worth it to change? This can get kind of tricky, and unfortunately, this kind of sometimes the roll of the dice that is driving for Lyft, and of course, Uber as well. It's ride sharing in general. Should you move them down? Here's what I would do is look at the kind of layout of the quadrants. If let's say you're more in the red, and there's a green right next to it, and let's say that green is the surge, to me, it makes sense to almost maybe even turn off the app, which I've done before, or just drive and then wait to get an actual good ride or a high-paying ride. This is where it kind of becomes this kind of odd, like chicken before the egg situation, because let's say it takes you 5 minutes to get to the green quadrant and you're in the red. You're like, well, it's going to take me 5 minutes to get to the green anyway, and then on top of that, maybe 2 minutes, so let's say 7 minutes total to get a new ride. But in this red quadrant, it's between 7 and 10 minutes for a ride. Am I better off waiting or not? This is something you have to weigh out. I feel like this depends city to city and also time to time. Like, for example, I know in some areas, like say when I used to drive in Boston, for example, which I knew very, very well, driving for Lyft and, of course, Uber in addition, is that there are some areas that I knew that even if it took me a while to get a ride, given my given area, I might as well wait. I'm better off waiting to get a ride because it's probably going to pay more and it's going to be quicker. In other situations, though, I remember, even though I might have to drive 5 or maybe even 10 minutes out of where I am, so I'm kind of eating at 5 or 10 minutes, in the long run, I'm going to get not only a ride quicker, but it is going to pay more money. So this is something you have to weigh out, and this is what I suggest to a lot of drivers. I've said this in a bajillion videos. I'll make it a bajillion and one, and that is track your analytics. This is something I used to do all the time of when I would drive, how I would drive, where I was, and these kind of little, cool tools that Lyft gives you is super helpful. You may notice on this channel, I've done a lot of like Lyft driver tutorials recently, just because I feel like Lyft has a lot of really cool features that a lot of drivers don't know about or kind of overlook. Because for something like this, you might be like, all right, I'm driving, I'm gonna have to wait anyway, whatever. If I have to wait 5 or 10 minutes more, who cares? But you may look at this and say, oh, you know what? If I drive 3 minutes over here, and now I'm in a green quadrant, and not only is that green quadrant gonna be quicker, but also a higher paying ride, it's a double win. And this can allow you to plan as well in advance. For example, I'm actually surprised that in West Hollywood, 2 to 6 minutes, I guess that makes sense. It is interesting. I feel like 2 to 6 minutes should be more of a green icon than the yellow or orange icon. But again, you could argue that. But that's something you can kind of look at being like, okay, now that I've looked at the wait times over and over again, I can tell that in this one area of my city, it takes a long time to get a ride at this time, but this time's a lot quicker. And again, it could fluctuate. Like maybe in your given city, and it makes sense, like say on a Friday night, the downtown or let's say the pop-in area of your city is going to be quicker to get a ride, bars, nightclubs, etc. And you know that maybe the financial sector of your city on a Friday night, not so much, because it's more like say financial and business buildings. And then vice versa, like say on a Monday morning, for example, where very few people are going to the bar and more people are going to the work or to their office, right? So this is a great tool just overall to use, and I highly suggest tracking your analytics because this will allow you to know when and how you should move in order to make more money.
Diamonds shine, the skies climbing, watch us steal the spotlight. Chasing greatness, no complacent, we are taking the flight. Diamonds shine, the skies climbing, watch us steal the spotlight. Chasing greatness, no complacent, we are taking the flight. Laying on that ground, ain't no wasting no time. Laying on that ground, ain't no wasting no time. From the bottom to the top, we ain't never gonna stop. Gonna stop, stop. From the bottom to the top, we ain't never gonna stop. Gonna stop, stop. From the bottom to the top, we ain't never gonna stop. Gonna stop, stop. From the bottom to the top, we ain't never gonna stop. Gonna stop, stop. Legendary status where the dopest can't refute it. Legendary status where the dopest can't refute